Hello there, all you amazing people. I'm going to talk to you about why all of these OSs, operating systems, whatever you'll call them, are bad. Okay? Basically, F operating systems. I will say it again. F operating system. If you're a Linux fan, you love Linux, it's okay. It's still a bad operating system. If you love Windows, macOS, Haiku, FreeBSD, they are still all bad operating systems. Or they are all the same. Or it don't matter. Put in what you want. If you want to be a negative Andy, you can say they are all bad. If you want to be a positive Andy, you can say they are all good. If you want to be a neutral Andy, you can say they all have their pros and cons. So I've talked about this so many times. I've also made videos about it, but I need to get this out of my system again. There's some things I make repetitive videos about because I need to get them out of my system, so else it will be bottled up in my autistic brain. I will explode, and you'll see a semi-naked guy running around Denmark and yelling at operating systems. Nobody wants to see that, hear that, or being exposed to that, so please bear with me here. I am tired of the Linux vegan mentality, fanboy, cult, whatever the fuck you will call it, attacking other operating systems because we do this better, we are open, blah 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 blah. And I'm tired of the Apple fanboys being arrogant son of a bitches. And I'm tired of the Windows high horse mentality that, oh, we own most of the market, so F everyone else. It don't fucking matter. The last 1.5 years, I got really into development. I'm actually kinda developing at work. Also, while I'm doing infrastructure, IT support, I do many fucking crazy shit. I should be paid way more than I do, by the way. But anyway, we want to make a lot of new systems, rewrite old system, update old system, make new protocols and systems and stuff like that. So one thing I did is that they are primarily a C# company. So I learned C#, of course. I also learned Arduino, I learned JavaScripting, Electron development, now I'm dabbling with Android development and iOS development and looking into Maui development, and I'm learning a lot of fucking shit. So why did I learn all these different, or look into all of these different programming languages? Because I wanted to find the programming languages that will give us the fastest, most reliable way of making either multi-platform programs, or when the boss comes in and say, I have an idea, because that's how it's run, that's how stupidly it's run in my work. The managers come in and say, we have an idea, and then you just drop everything and try to make it at least a proof of concept out of it. So I was looking into, is Python the fastest way of doing it? Is C# the fastest way of doing it because everyone already knows C#, or is JavaScripting, blah 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 blah. And in the end, it don't fucking matter. Yeah, Python may be faster, or JavaScripting, or Java, or I don't fucking know, like Cobalt or something like that, Fortran. But then you come into issues down the line. What if you have to rewrite it? What if the libraries you're using are so outdated that you need to use new user ones and they're not supported under the program language anymore? Now you have to build new APIs, blah 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 blah, all that fucking shit. So basically, we just chose whatever we found most comfortable with, and that made sense for X program. If it's a big program, we use X programming languages. If it's a small little program, we use Y programming language. Why? Because it fits the job better. And also it depends on, like I said, what are the developers most comfortable with. It's the same with operating system. Are you most comfortable with whatever operating system it is? You just like it because you like fat penguins or something like that. If that's your fetish, go nuts. Go tinkle those penguin feet all day long and look for the knees. Penguins do have knees, by the way. Google that shit or look it up. It's actually scientifically proven. Nobody gives a fuck. It's a little bit like, the easiest way I can say this, and I've said this so many times in live streams, hashtag I need to do more live streams, by the way. It's a little bit like dating. You know, we don't all value the same things in our partners. Sometimes it can be the hair, it can be the look, it can be the physical features, it can be what's going on in the noggin, but we all value different things in our partners. It's the same with operating systems. We are all valuing different things out of our operating system depending on what we are doing and want to do. That also means that every operating system is the best operating system for some people or in some situations. Not all, some. And let's dive into the arguments of the good old Linux boys. Linux is the best operating system because it's being used on supercomputers. Yeah, Linux is probably the best operating system if you are running a supercomputer. Are you running a supercomputer? No. The technologies in supercomputers that are run right now probably take, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 years before you see any of that in consumer electronics, if we're even fucking running, you know, computers the way we're doing now. We're not all running ARM processors and stuff like that. So hey, yeah, that argument is really, really well suited if you're running a supercomputer. Oh, Linux is the most used web hosting server, so therefore it must be the most secure and stable and blah blah blah. Yeah, that makes sense, and that argument is true if your server is a web hosting server. It may not be the most stable or the most secure as a file server, or as a domain server, or as a virtual host server, or DHCP server or something like that. No, who knows? It all depends on personal choice, working situation, or the situation that you're in, that you want to use the OS for, and a lot of other things. It could also just be that, hey, if I have to work with this system a lot, I just like to work with Linux more than I like to work with Windows. I just like the, the whole folder structure. I like the command line better and stuff like that. That means I can work faster and I can work better. I can make more intuitive decisions. I can make better decisions because I'm comfortable and I know this shit. That's cool. And there's someone saying that for Windows and macOS, and they are all right. Unless the company specific say that we don't want X, Y, and Z in our systems, or we are Windows only or Linux only company and stuff like that. That's also right. If you honestly in your brain, your tiny little brain, because people that think that one operating system is better than anyone else has a tiny brain in my fucking opinion. Because if you think that you can universally sit and say that Windows, Linux, Mac OS, whatever fucking OS is just categorically the best for every situation, for everyone, and everyone should be running it, and all other operating systems should be put out of the market. That's a little bit like if you're going to be really fucking, dark here. That's how extremists think, like there was like a bearded guy in the 40s and 30s that thought like that in Germany. It's either our way or our thing, and everything else is bad and should be eradicated, basically. And you may say, oh, that's far-fetched. No, I've heard, Richard Stallman say something like to that nature, that proprietary software should be illegal, should not be existing, should be eradicated from Earth, because he thinks that his philosophies are better. It's not been proven in any way, shape, or form, in any scientific manner, that open source or closed source or any development method is better than the other when it comes to handling the source code. It's all about opinion and the desired outcome. Again, a little bit with operating system. Opinions decide outcome, familiarities. I don't know why you would want every operating system to be eradicated, because it takes down competition. One thing that drives innovation way more than anything on Earth, well, there's two things: war and competition. I don't think any of us want war. It would be really bad if that was the case. So we want competition. You want more than one watch OS. You want more than one, or not watch manufacturer. You want more mobile manufacturers. Look at what happened with Apple and iOS. Apple made, or was it the iPhone OS it was called back in the day? So Apple made the iPhone, they put their operating system on it. They had no competition at all. No competitors. They had hardware competitors, but they didn't have software competitors. So for quite a long time, they didn't really do much innovation. They just incrementally improved. Then Android came along, or was already a thing, but it became more useful. It became better and better, and I was rivaling fucking iOS now. It's actually in some cases better than iOS. And when that happened, innovation on the mobile market exploded. That was kind of what happened in the 90s with operating systems. Mac OS, Windows, OS 2, BOS, FreeBSD. Well, not so much FreeBSD, but more on the server market. But at least those operating systems I mentioned on the desktop market was all viable operating systems. They were all looked at as potentially being the kings, taking over the OS world. That's why you saw so much innovation in the desktop operating system market in the mid-90s to mid-2000s. Even Linux was, I think I said that, but, when Ubuntu came around, Ubuntu made Linux relevant on the desktop market, which meant that in 2000, was it 4 or 5 when it came out, and then maybe 2010 when it actually became good, Microsoft started to see, Linux on the desktop as a competitor. Mac OS did. That's good for you. You will get faster, better, and cheaper things because they're competing with each other. If you are running a system that is the only thing in the market, they don't need to innovate. They just need to, okay, new version is just a little bit better. Basically, it's a better, faster version than the last. That's all you're getting. A little bit optimization here. Yeah, we fixed some UI changes there. Yeah, we changed the theme. And that's it, which is basically what fucking 90% of Linux distributions do anyway when they upgrade. They just upgrade the kernel, they upgrade the libraries, and they change the theme, or well, they upgrade the desktop environments, and then they call it a new release. They didn't innovate. Linux don't innovate on the desktop anymore. It hasn't done that since 2012 or 13. It just makes a little bit better versions of what already is there, and that's one of the reasons why a lot of people don't really regard Linux as anything, because it's just doing, it's acting like it's the big dog in the market, and it's not giving people unique features. A lot of the things we have nowadays in Linux was unique in the 2000s. They are not unique anymore. Windows do all of that. Mac OS do all of that. Why do Mac OS and Windows start with virtual desktops and sliding desktops and all that fucking shit? More than likely because Linux did it before they did. But now Linux is not innovating anymore, but Mac OS is innovating. Windows is kind of innovating, even though they're a little bit like reskinning Windows 10 to 11 and then give us a little bit new features. But at least Mac OS is trying to do, a few few things was just realized that there's a widget fucking bug on macOS. It just deleted all my widgets again on my desktop. Yay! I actually use them quite a lot now. Anyway, you need competition. You want competition. It's healthy for you. It's good for you. It's good for you as a consumer that Ubuntu and all of the other Linux distribution makers, SUSE, Red Hat, are afraid and worried about macOS and Windows, because that means they need to do something that they don't do that you are benefiting. So again, if you want anything, you know, every other operating system to be out of the market, you are now limiting yourself, because yeah, you can yell and scream about X, Y, and Z, but they don't have to do it, because you can either be stuck on the old version that they probably will make deprecated at some point, and then you're forced to upgrade anyway. The newest example of competition, why it's good for you. So Linux phones, if you're running a Linux phone now that's more than 4 years old, you probably are really insecure, because most, especially cheap mobile phones makers, they don't support Android, that's the word I was looking for, more than 2 to 4 years, at maximum 4 years. Which most of the times it's 2 years of OS upgrades, 4 years with security updates. I think the iPhone 6, yeah, we're on 15 now, so half of the fucking generation just recently, or over half of a phone that's over half a generation old, just recently got dropped. I think it was like 2022 or 2023, with both security and OS up. Now Samsung is doing the same. They are like, I think it's like we're giving you minimum 4 years of OS updates, and is it 6 years of security updates? You can put it down below if you know the exact numbers there. And I think Huawei is doing the same, and I think, what is the other? OnePlus is doing the same, I think. You know, the big Android manufacturers are supporting their phones longer because they see Apple is doing it. So it's benefiting you. You can now keep your phone longer and be more secure and get new features. I always, it's a little bit of a sidetrack, but I always tell my Android friends, even when I was an Android guy, is that, yeah, Android is cheaper. Like, Android phones are cheaper unless you're buying, you know, Samsung flagship models and stuff like that. But you can't keep them for as long as you can keep an iPhone, because if you're caring about security, after like 4-ish years, sometimes only 2 years, if it's like a Motorola or something like that, or at least the old Motorola, I don't know how it is nowadays, like the less than good brand. After 2 to 3 years, you were fucking shit out of luck, dude. You had to buy a new phone. So yeah, they were cheaper, but you bought phones more often if you wanted to be more secure. Until iOS or Apple just keep doing the shit, and the other manufacturers realize that, hey, we can keep customers longer if we do that. Competition. If you're one of those that X operating system is the best and only thing that should exist, not only are you massively stupid, if you ask, you're also hurting yourself. You're also hurting the OS that you love and want, because it's not going to improve. It's another thing that people tend to do when they're like, oh, we are the only one that should exist. Instead of working on the OS they love, they point fingers at everyone else and blame everyone else for their lack of success. And Linux do this all the fucking time. They point fingers and X faults, Y's faults, Z's faults, and they may be right in some instances, but you can't fucking sit there and just give up because someone did you dirty. That just means that you work even harder to show them, fuck you. You don't see Windows do that much. You don't see Apple do that much, because they understand that we just have to focus on ourselves and be in the competition. They used to fight like cat and dogs in the 90s and 80s. Windows and macOS is like what Windows and Linux is today. But back then it was both Windows and macOS, you know, Apple and Microsoft that were fighting. Right now it's only Linux that is fighting everyone else. So I hope you will re-evaluate this whole thinking about that it's one thing or the other. We are the best. No, Linux is not the best, most secure, most stable OS in the world. No OS is. It all depends on what situation, how it's set up, how it's managed, and how the users are using it. And a lot of other factors, by the way, where it's located and stuff like that. And when you're saying that XOS is the best, it just shows how little you understand about this subject. Just like with programming language. Rust is the only programming language and it's going to save all programming languages and blah blah blah. No, it's not. It's great for something. C#, Python, whatever. Python is amazing for research and development, or at least research. You know, C++ is great for something. You cannot have the mentality of one thing is the only thing that should exist, because it's coming from a lack of knowledge. It's coming from the lack of understanding, and you are actively hurting the thing that you're promoting by having that mentality. See you all later. Bye bye.